Good morning, Augusta Nation. Not quite the Estimator Trail yet. It's a little after 5 in the morning, but it is a trail nonetheless, and I appreciate you joining me. So I'm walking around not too far away from the gym I go to in the morning. I woke up 4 o'clock this morning, got ready for the gym. I did hit a snooze one time, so that's unfortunate, but hopefully Jocko will forgive me. We're going to eventually talk about discipline versus motivation and some of the misconceptions out there and out there in social media, and how you can use both of them to get to your goal. But next week, I think it's next Tuesday, it'll be the 13th, it'll be my 1 year of fully back in a fitness regimen. So for those of you that don't know, I grew up in fitness. I've been at it for about 20 years as far as weightlifting, bodybuilding, things like that. And life just kind of got in the way a little bit. I allowed my schedule to, demotivate me and did not have a regular gym routine like I've had for 20 years for the prior, I guess not this past year, but 2 years before. So I'd get in for 3 months, I'd be out for 9. And I did that for about 2 years. And so I corrected the behavior, and next Tuesday will be 1 year as far as a physical routine. What I'm doing is 4 days a week. I usually get to the gym about 4:30, do about an hour or so, maybe a little more, a little less. And that's what I've been doing. And so there's two Mikes that I look up to and follow, one for fitness and one for business. And so we all know, those of y'all in Augusta Nation and anybody that is listening to Mike's channel, Mike Andes, Augusta Nation founder. He's the guy to look to for business advice, and he's no slouch in the gym himself. So the other one I'm talking about is Mike Israetel, and maybe lesser known in our circle in the business world, but extremely intelligent, just like the other Mike. Check him out at RP Fitness. It's Renaissance Periodization is his company. Him and Nick Shaw, a bunch of other very well-established athletes and PhDs in their discipline. He made a post, and it was just along the lines of four pillars or principles that will lead you to fitness success. And it was basically, one of them was discipline is greater than motivation. The basic template of that is, motivation's needed for that initial spark, and then discipline carries you through all the hard times when you want to quit, or even when you don't have motivation. If you follow the plan of discipline, you'll get to your end goal. And it's crazy, everybody, all the intellectuals, a lot of very smart people follow Mike, those with masters in sports science or psychology. And if you've ever posted anything in the social media world, even if you don't have a huge following, a lot of times you get a bunch of people picking you apart, fact checking you, and just splitting hairs basically. And so on his post, you had a bunch of very smart people debating theory of, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, the discipline or the motivation, what actually, gets you to your goal. And I really don't think splitting hairs is really relevant. I don't think it's going to get you there. And all those people debating it already have the motivation and the discipline to get to where they wanted to go anyway. So for me, and specifically talking about the Augusta mission here, and you can go from scratch to the $200,000 solo model. That could be a complete goal. That's number one. You could go from there to 500,000 and you could stop. That's a complete goal, because you built a sustainable, profitable business. You created an objective, and you got there. And then you could go from 500 to 800 plus, and that's another goal. You could then go there create multiple locations. All of that, you needed motivation to start, in my opinion. But then you formed a plan. You took that motivation, and whether it been, from Mike himself, whether it been from other franchisees that have started, and you're, looking at their journey, and you're like, I'm going to do that. No matter what it was, it started off, and you could debate it to death and back if you look at the theories, but whatever it was, motivation got you wanting something. In my opinion, motivation doesn't come from a place of fulfillment and satisfaction. It comes from a place, where you're unhappy. And, I don't think you get motivation if you've been feeling like you are absolutely satisfied. So I think it starts when you start to feel a little uncomfortable. You get some form of inspiration from either someone else or somewhere from inside somehow. You think about what could be, and you want it. At that point, I think you need to build a plan and, maybe cement some sort of intrinsic motivation so that when things are super tough, you want to give up, you follow that plan of discipline day in, day out, sometimes mind-numbingly not knowing why you're doing it. And you'll wake up, and you'll look one day and be like, I'm getting there. And you'll keep on going. So I think if you're out there and trying to grow a lawn care business specifically, or any business from scratch, but let's say specifically lawn care, at least for me, I know that even once I knew that I wanted to push forward and grow a business with 10 plus employees and be able to sustain itself and offer opportunities to those that wanted to work here, even when I knew I wanted that, and it was me and a mower, there were several times when I woke up and I did not want to get up at 4 a.m. I did not want to go out and mow 10, 12 yards, and I damn sure didn't want to go to the gym that day. Had negative feelings, probably yelled at myself a couple times, and there were times of tears, there were times of extreme self-doubt where motivation was nil, zero. Did I already create a plan, write some things down, talk about it to people that I love? Yeah, I did. So it kind of held myself accountable. So maybe that initial motivation coupled with a plan, writing it down, telling people, chiseling away and creating something that's internalized. Maybe that motivation, as far as you telling it to other people, maybe that kind of holds you accountable. But it's what you do when you want to give up, the discipline, the daily minutia, the just getting up and getting it done, in my opinion, is what gets you there. So I know that was a long tirade or rant, but if you do enjoy checking out just the social experiment of whenever you can put something up there that's super positive, motivating, and helpful, go check out Mike Israetel on Facebook. I think he posted it there. He might have it on Instagram as well. And just check out the comments there. A bunch of very smart people debating whether it is motivation or discipline that gets you started and gets you there. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Get out there, get after it. And forgot about something. So like I was saying earlier, next week, Tuesday, marks 1 year back in it. And this past week, and I'll go over the more detailed parts of the fitness journey, what I'm currently doing next week, and what I've been doing for a year. And so last week, I started noticing, I think it's called brachioradialis tendonitis or something, self-diagnosed WebMD, whatever. But it's basically pain that radiates from the forearm, wrist area, top of the forearm, to the lower bicep where the elbow connects. It's that tendon. And it's painful. It hurts. And so I have not been doing an overuse. The only thing I can think of is how I carry my kids. I kind of let them perch, sit right there, and they're not light. So I think that's where I've been getting that pain. So I woke up, this is my 4th week in progression. So that means that at that week, I'm doing my highest lifts. And since I'm a year into it, it's the highest lifts I've done this year, period. And that pain, it got me. I woke up, I was like, man, I could feel it immediately. I had bench press, overhead press, and some pulling exercises today, all of which will affect that tendon. I was like, I could go to sleep right now and enjoy my hour to hour and a half from 4 to 5:30. Get extra sleep. I'm hurt. What's the point of getting up? And I kind of just had a little bit of a flash. I don't know if it's Jocko Willink came up or what it was. He's like, man, you've been putting a year in almost. Next week's a year. And you might not be able to get in there and lift, but you can get in there. And that's discipline. That's part of the discipline. That's actually one of the biggest parts of establishing a gym routine or anything. Is just getting to the point of where you're doing it. Because once you're there, it's not that bad. And so I got there, I warmed up, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to lift today, but I'm here. And I'm, burning that pattern into my mind, into my body of showing up. And right now I'm walking. So not much of it's something. And, whatever it is, my memory, it will burn that into my head. I don't care. We'll have to figure something else out if this doesn't, heal, which it will. But I'm here. I'm doing the discipline part. I may not be actively, getting stronger today. I know I'm not. But I am, call it active recovery. And so I'm here. I made the decision, and it's hard. I didn't want to. I wanted to go to sleep. But I'm here. I think that's the discipline part of it. And that's what carries you forward. That's what, a year from now when I look at the progress after I heal from this, those little tiny steps towards discipline of reinforcing it is what keeps you on the path, what keeps you going. And so if you can apply that to business, if you are, if you're solo right now, it's just you and a mower, and your pain points, your frustration right now are mainly physical, hopefully, especially if you're in Augusta Nation, you have no problem getting work, getting leads. So your pain point should be purely physical. And it's hard. Nobody's gonna tell you any different. It is difficult work. Getting out there, getting after it every single day. No part of these stages that Mike talks about are easy. When you're alone, maybe you got one other employee, it's physical stress. When you add another truck, it goes from physical to financial. You got to jump that hurdle from 200 to 500 real quick, and you're not going to get any benefit from it financially. You're going to get equity, and you're going to build leadership skills. So no more money is coming in, going from 200 to 500 profitability wise, and that's tough. So you can, and you're still in the field a little bit. But once you get to 400 or 500, and you have got about four trucks, you're mainly doing estimates, and you decide to level off, you'll be profitable, and then you'll jump into psychological stress of being responsible for others. So it all just changes as far as where the difficulty lies and what you're facing day to day. But what doesn't change is the discipline required to keep it going. And lost my train of thought as I'm about to walk into something. Hey guys, I tripped and found my train of thought again, so that is good. Where I was going with that at the end was the process and finding joy in the process. So, it starts with a little bit of motivation. You get a spark of something that comes from uncomfortability. You want something more. You're motivated to establish a plan and then engage discipline to get that plan carried out. Because I don't know about you, but anything that I've wanted to do, you know, whether it be skills that I don't have that I want, something financial that I wanted, it wasn't like I needed to save up $100 or I needed to learn to skip rope while chewing gum. It was something a little bit more taxing. It takes a little bit more time, a little bit more money saved. So the goal would take a while. Let's call it a year. You know, anything worthwhile usually takes about a year. So you've got the motivation. You're going to make a plan to achieve this goal. It's going to take some time. So you got a hell of a delta from where you start to where you're going to go. And there's time in between. So that process, that time from where you start to where you want to go, is one hell of a process. And you've got to enjoy it. You've got to find joy. You've got to deliberately put joy into the equation. And if you're saying, well, what I'm trying to do is not particularly joyful, great. Get the joy anyways, because joy is a decision. It's not a feeling like happiness. Joy, you wake up and you decide to have joy. You can have joy in the most horrendous situations. You decide to have the joy. And that, I think, is the trick. Not really a trick, but that is what will keep you on that process. And you decide, not saying that it's going to be all happy. Joy is a little bit different than that. It's deciding to want the process, deciding to want to show up every day, even when you feel like crap, even when you do not want to be there. So that length of time, whatever it is, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, that process, you need to enjoy it. You need to decide to enjoy it. So, so that you don't spend all that amount of time. Because, like, for instance, my goal of growing to 50 plus locations during my career, during the next 20 years, if I didn't find joy in the process, it means I would have wasted 20 years of joyless life. And that is no way to live. So you definitely want to have that joy. And as far as the process is concerned, that's the fun part. You get to, just because you make a goal, you have the motivation, doesn't mean you're going to get there. But if you find joy in the process, you've already won. So, and that's very, very much so relates to the fitness world. Because most people, when they get into fitness, it's one of those things you get into and you'll never reach your goal. And you're super happy with it. Because that process, that waking up every day and going after something more, is kind of what makes life worth living, in my opinion. So that's what I wanted to tie it in there at the end of it. Hopefully that all made sense. As far as the initial motivation, the plan, the discipline, the daily grind to get to where you want to go. And then if you can tie that in and find joy in the process, you're already where you want to be, because you are doing things that make you joyful, that you get something out of, and you have a good life. So that is that's my little tidbit for the day. I'm glad I tied that in because I almost lost it. But I will talk to y'all soon. Hope you have a great day. Go and get after it.